Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva
and this is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder.
and Liz.
And we just had like the most crazy conversation about all sorts of stuff. And I was like, we really should have recorded this because it was pretty interesting. But we didn't. So sorry, guys. We were talking
Yeah, we always
about,
have cool conversations right before we
no,
go
I'm
on.
like, but we also don't want to be those people that talk for like 15 minutes about ourselves in the beginning because
Right.
that's fucking lame. One thing I
Correct.
forgot to tell you though, I made a new friend, like a mom friend.
Oh.
Yeah. And dude, she's really fucking cool. And I'm like scared because I'm like, why does she want to be my friend? Because she's fucking rad. And
Mm,
like, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm
you're
cool.
rad.
Yeah, we'll see.
You are.
I'm taking it slow. I'm giving her little pieces of me, slowly introducing her to the fucking train wreck that is Cindy.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh.
anyway, it's exciting, you guys. Even when you're old and you start making new friends, it's kind of fun to do. And I think she's a lot younger than me too, which I'm just like, holy shit, but it's fine.
Oh.
He's like, I want to have you over for dinner. I want to like hang out with you. Can we be mom friends? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. It's great, but it's scary.
That's really cute.
Anyway, yes, it is cute. That's my story for today. We met through baseball, through
Hmm.
kids baseball, so that's pretty magical.
Very, very cute.
Yeah. And happy Easters, post Easters to
Hmm.
everyone. Hope you all
Yes.
either did something or didn't do something. Either is totally fine.
Yeah. I am
Last
not religious, but I do enjoy ham, so that's what I did. I always for holidays like 4th of July as well that I do not fucking celebrate in any capacity, like for the meaning of it, I always have to make the correct food.
Yeah, you do really love holidays just for the food aspect.
Just for the food. Yeah, even if
Yeah.
I don't do the day, I have to do the
Yeah.
food.
Yeah. We did the egg hunt and it was fun. And like, we have
Nice.
to do that because we have a child now. So even though we're like, he doesn't know what religion is, but he sure as fuck knows what the Easter bunny is. So
Eggs. Oh
yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
he
That's
doesn't
what we're
have to.
doing.
He can do a pagan Easter. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Um,
Everything is totally fine. He
yeah.
doesn't have any clue,
All
but
Also the kids, my neighbor kids, all did an Easter hunt or Easter egg hunt in my
Mhm.
backyard, and it was really cute.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
We're all finding them.
It's
Yeah.
it's so cute when they like he had two friends over and they all went like ape shit on the
What do you
egg.
put in the eggs? Candy?
Dude, Rory Rory put like $5 bills and shit. I was like, dude, what are you
Holy
doing?
shit. I
Yeah,
would be
so
so motivated to get those eggs. I would want to get them right now. I need
I
money.
know. I was like, should I just
That's
like throw some
awesome.
bows at these like children and steal the money? Like it was kind of dope. No, I wouldn't. But yeah, so he did like money. We do change candy. Dude, one thing that he
Mm.
did that was so gross was he put jelly beans and money like loose in the egg. Like, dude, there's like poop. The number
Metal.
one thing on money is poop. Like you can't mix that with
But
food.
and you're like making the jelly beans all metallic. Like
Yeah. Nobody cared. I
it's
even ate
great.
a couple. I was like, I want to know how
Yeah.
disgusting
Like
this is.
when I was a kid, it was always those like old crusty jelly beans. It wasn't like not Jelly Belly, but like the big ones.
Yeah. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
hated those. You'd have to like
Yeah.
crunch through the shell and it was like weirdly chalky. It was
Yes.
horrible. Yeah, those are the worst. Ugh.
Hmm.
I hope most people who are listening are not old enough to relive that nightmare with us, but if you are, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
But Jelly Belly's delicious.
they are really good. And we actually did
Really good.
I think it was Jelly Belly, but we also did like sour ones, so that was kind of cool. But now they all just
Ooh,
taste like
nice.
money and have poop and cocaine on them from all the chain. So that's
Oh,
whatever.
got flesh-eating bacteria from the streets of LA.
Yeah, it's great. Really, really good job there, Dad slash Easter
Mm.
Bunny. Anyway, this is a new week. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's an Easter topic. It's murders of the cloth. So murders
Right.
involving priests and nuns. It's
Yes.
Catholic.
Yes. Oh my God, my case is so fucking crazy. If you want to join us
Yeah.
on Patreon, Diva, we
Same.
gotta do that this week. We have to do it this week. It's
Yes, yes, yes.
patreon.com/twisted listers. Thank you to everybody who is still a
Mhm.
supporter on there. There's quite a few of you, and we love you and we appreciate you. If you'd like to join us on Instagram, it's
Twisted Listers PCast.
if you'd like, I forgot about TikTok. It's just at Twisted Listers. If you'd like to send us an email with case suggestions, which we love, you can do that at.
TwistedListersPod@gmail.com.
And we have a website, and that website is
Mhm. twistedblisterspod.com.
And we have two kinds of stickers now for sale. Or if you join the pod or the Patreon, we will send them to you. Anyway, I guess that's it, right? No more.
Yeah.
All right. As Lyndon would say, no more waffle. Let's just get into it. I'm sure a lot of people know this story. Anybody who's watched The Keepers on Netflix. I have not. Did you watch it?
Oh my God, right away. It's incredible.
Okay, I did not watch it. I've never seen it. I still haven't seen it. I didn't watch it for this. I didn't watch it because I have a hard time watching TV that I know is going to infuriate me. I can listen to a podcast that's going to piss me off. I can read about it, but watching it, it does something weird to my anxiety. So I still haven't seen it. So if I miss anything in the documentary, just go watch the documentary. Don't give me shit. It's fine. I did the best I could reading. I read. Okay. Like, I don't know. I'm already being like defensive. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, this is the murder of Cathy Ceskin, who was a nun. So I'm just going to start by talking about her, and then we're just going to get into it. So Cathy Ceskin was born in Lawrenceville, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on November 17th, 1942. She grew up going to Catholic schools. Her family was super religious. Her family mostly came from Yugoslavia, with one grandparent hailing from Austria. And we're talking like her grandparents were from there. So she was like pretty, pretty much from like a Yugoslavian and Austrian family. She was a super overachiever in high school. She was the valedictorian. She was also the May Queen, which is like such an old school thing. Do you know what that is?
May Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picturing like Midsommar.
Oh, kind of, yeah. So so like I have to think about it. But they like are in a parade essentially. And they're like everybody. Yeah, it is like that. But it was like a big thing back in like the 60s. It was like every school or every small town would like have one, and somebody would be the May Queen. And so she was the May Queen. She was valedictorian. She was the president of her senior class and student council. So just a really like kick-ass student. Everybody liked her. Obviously, you don't get to be the May Queen by being a dick, like people liked her.
No, yeah, for sure.
She was a lovely person. And as soon as she graduated high school, she joined the church to become a nun. And this is a process. Like, you don't just become a nun right away, but you start taking on the duties, you go through all the stuff. And then once it's time, you like take your vow, right? You like sign your vow of whatever it is. I'm not religious, but I think that's essentially how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Doing okay? Correct. Okay. My family is like Irish Catholic, but it's all bullshit. Like my dad went to Catholic school and he was like, oh, I'm raising my daughter atheist. Thank you very much. So
my dad's legit Catholic and I studied Catholic stuff. So I do know about it.
See, I was like intentionally kept away from it. Like my dad was like, no. Yeah. When you're an adult, if you want to learn about this, you can. And I know a little, but not much. So anyway, so she's kind of going through this process, and she joined the School Sisters of Notre Dame, which is a worldwide institute that started in Bavaria in 1833 and works in a number of areas, but mostly focusing on teaching. So they're kind of like an activist nunnery group that they have like lawyers, activists, but most of them teach. So that's kind of how they enact change. So for the first few years of her stint as a nun, she worked locally and either lived at home or in the convent with other nuns. But eventually she was given a job at Archbishop Keough High School in Baltimore, Maryland, where she taught both English and drama and was in charge of the drama club. Nice. Now, in Baltimore, at least at the time, and I think still, is a very Catholic city with like well over 50% of the town, it's a fucking city, being practicing Catholics. So, I mean, it's a big city too. Even then it was a big city. So the church is very much a part of the culture of the city, and definitely was back then, probably even more than now. So Cathy was a well-liked and very trusted nun, and was even allowed to live off campus in an apartment with another nun, Sister Helen Russell Phillips. The two both worked at the high school and were allowed to wear plain clothing while doing so, which was kind of common, but not the norm by any means. Most nuns taught in like full, like in their habits.
Right.
In November of 1969, while working at a new and different school, keep that in mind, Sister
Mhm.
Cesnik told her roommate that she was going out to buy a present for her sister's, or actually her cousin's engagement party coming up in just a few days. So she went to the bank and she cashed her $255 paycheck, which, like, can you imagine making
Ooh,
$255 every other week and like being able to pay your rent and have a
the
car?
times have changed.
Yeah, and not for the better. Like, this is some fucked up
No,
shit.
no.
Oh my God. So anyway, after she cashed her ample paycheck of $255,
Mm.
he potentially went to a local bakery, as later there was a box of buns from that bakery found in her car. And then she disappeared. Just straight up
Oh my
disappeared.
gosh.
Yeah. And I believe this was November 8th or 9th. She was last seen around 8:30 p.m. driving her car, and a witness later came forward and said that they saw her in the back seat of her own car attempting to escape while a man was in the front driving. Yeah.
Ugh.
So she was actually seen, I think, near her own apartment around 8:30, and then just after that, a man was seen driving her car with her in the back. And that was it. Whoever saw
Okay.
this did not call the police, which, like, why? Like, if you saw
Oof.
that, wouldn't you call?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's very few times in my life that I'm like, yes, you should call the police, but that would be one of them. Like, for sure.
Sorry, quick side note. Did I ever tell you at the time in high school when my dad was driving, we drove by someone in a truck going the opposite way, and it was a man driving, and the woman in the front seat had like tape over her mouth.
What? Do you call the cops?
Yes, immediately. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just didn't get a good enough description of like the car, the plate, or anything, but it was so nothing came of it. But it was like so scary. I can still see it.
That's fucking terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
And you called the cops. Like, you
And it was
fucking
right in
should.
front, and it was right in front of where the Zodiac killer killed his victims,
Oh my God, dude.
coincidentally. Right
Coincidentally.
there. Yeah.
Maybe not coincidentally.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. Holy shit, dude.
Hmm.
That's so scary. Wow. God damn, that's terrifying. Did she look like she was in distress, or did she just have tape on her mouth?
Yeah. Yeah. She was in distress and she had like fucking duct tape on her mouth.
Oh my God, did you ever look this up or like follow up or anything?
I don't know. I was like fucking 14 or something. I don't know.
Dude, we
I
gotta
should
figure
look
that
and see
out.
if there's like a case that like corresponds with that.
You absolutely fucking should. We're doing this. We're gonna
Yeah.
find that. Oh my goodness, that's
Okay.
fucking terrifying. Anyway, okay.
It was.
So similar situation, but this person did not do what Diva and her dad did. They did not call the cops. They just were like, doop, 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 going on with my life. So
Ugh.
her roommate, Cathy's roommate, Sister Russell, I think is what they called her, became worried and called over two priests to sit with her while she waited for Cathy to come home. They stayed up all night praying, but not calling the police, which that makes a little bit more sense because it's not like they saw anything in particular that, you know, had they seen that and didn't call, I'd be like, what the fuck? But, you know,
Right.
maybe she went, I don't know, you know, it, obviously like they could have at least called, but like it's not as big of a thing to me that they didn't. Finally, around 4:40 a.m., Reverend Peter McCow, I think, found Cathy's car just around the corner from their apartments, parked kind of like illegally, like across multiple spots or just like sticking out into the road, and also covered in mud. Now, at this point, the three of them called the police, who immediately began searching for Cathy. The car was towed and processed, and inside they found twigs and branches, and also found branches like in the antenna of the car. So it had been driven like into the woods or some brush or something, right?
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly. Yeah. Police conducted a wide-scale search that weekend, but pulled back pretty quickly, saying there was no evidence of violence or foul play. Which, like,
Okay.
no evidence of violence, maybe. No evidence of foul play. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Were you trying to say that she left on her own accord? Because like a nun teacher is not like exactly the like
yeah, she's not gonna
bad
take
runaway
her like
type.
she's not gonna like take her sedan like mudding and then like park it around the corner from her own house and like run away. Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah,
Like,
she got some buns at the bakery and then she went off-roading.
yeah, like, and then was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Like, no, come on. None of that is real. So anyway, they, you know, I don't know. I guess they didn't find any blood in the car. So they're like, ah, she's fine. Really fucking stupid. 4 days
Oh my
after
God.
Cathy went missing. So she's missing. They're still kind of looking for her, but it's not like this big thing like it was over the weekend. But 4 days after she goes missing, another woman also goes missing from the area. This woman, whose name was Joyce Malecki, was found 2 days later floating in the Little Patuxent River. Her car had been found abandoned the day prior, similar to Cathy's, and she had been stabbed and strangled to death before being dumped. Police at the
Oh my God.
time, I don't know if they cover this in the thing, right? In the Netflix. Do they cover this?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Police at the time did not consider the two incidents to be connected, especially since Cathy hadn't been found yet. But they did find a pair of black shoes with Joyce that they did check to see if they belonged to Cathy. So I think it was more of like, we don't have any reason to think these do, but these two went missing very close to one another, so we'll check it out. It doesn't really look like they belong to her, I don't think. It took almost 2 full months after her disappearance for Cathy's body to be found. And it was found on January 3rd, 1970, partially clothed, about a mile outside of Leakin Park. And if anybody goes, Leakin Park, where does that sound familiar? That's where Hae Min Lee was found, and like the case of Adnan Syed all takes place right around Leakin Park. So that's what we know. This is a fucking scary ass park in Baltimore. Like, don't go there, guys. I don't know if it still is, but like there's just a lot of murder there, it seems. I don't love it. So police began investigating the area. It is spooky, right? Like it is.
Yeah, Leakin Park.
Leakin Park. Also, I always thought it was Linkin Park, and it always made me think of the band, which
like the band. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate. Anyway, so they start investigating, and they determined she'd either been forced to walk or was carried to the area where she was found, because there was no way that a car could make it all the way like to that embankment. They also found signs of manual strangulation, as well as a hole in her skull, which indicated she had been beaten with something heavy, most likely a rock. And what the murderer did is they hit her in the temple with the rock, and I think it cracked her skull at like the base of her skull. So they hit her so hard that is what killed her, even though they had also strangled her.
That's total overkill. She's just like, it's totally brutal.
Yeah, and also the thought that like they walked her out there of her, like, she was like fully alive at that point. It's really like horrible.
Yeah.
So police investigate, and I'm going to put that in heavy quotations because it's pretty clear that they didn't really investigate, which I'll get more into. But essentially, they were unable to find any evidence linking anyone to the murder, and the case went cold. The police claim the case was, quote, very active from 1970 to 77, but I would call that like debatable at best, because I really like, again, we'll get into it. And then it wasn't actually until 1992 that the case came back into the spotlight, thanks to some really, really fucked up shit I'm about to talk about. And so this is the point where I would like to give an official trigger warning. A huge, and I never give trigger warnings, but we are going to be talking about some really, really gnarly shit right now. So,
okay, I know what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, Catholic Church, you got to think sexual assault.
Yep.
Those two go hand in hand. They're like peanut butter and jelly.
It's true.
That's a horrible way to put it. I'm sorry.
It's true. I wish it wasn't true.
It is true. All right. So if you guys aren't into this, skip forward about, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe less. So in 1992, 2 women, Teresa Lancaster and Jean Wenner, came forward and said that the chaplain from the Archbishop Keogh High School had sexually assaulted them. And when I say sexually assaulted them, I'm being very, very vague and also very kind, because that does not even skim the surface of what this evil ass motherfucker did. So these 2 very brave women came forward and said that the chaplain, a monster named Joseph Maskell, had repeatedly raped them, intimidated them, sold them to other people for sex, threatened them, and for Jean Wenner, at one point showed her the body of a dead nun by the name of Cathy Ceskin, saying, quote, "You see what happens when you say bad things about people?"
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you see.
Horrible.
Horrible. Joseph Maskell was a child rapist who used his power in the church and the community to rape possibly dozens of girls throughout his time at this and likely other schools where he worked. He was
Definitely
apparent,
other because they always just shuffle them around, you know?
yeah. Oh, he was shuffled around so much, so much.
Yeah.
So he was apparently a very charming man, very likable and very laid back. He wouldn't tell on the kids for smoking weed. He was fine with them talking openly about the issues they had with their overbearing parents. And he provided a sort of like, quote, safe space for kids at the high school. Little did many of them know he was fucking grooming them and like gnarly grooming them so that he could take advantage of them in ways that I honestly was not prepared to read about. Because again, I haven't watched The Keepers.
Yeah.
So this shit, like, I didn't know, Diva. When I was like, oh, I'll do that case, I didn't fucking know. I didn't know. This shit is fucked up.
Horrible.
Horrible. So apparently this
Because they know they have
motherfucker,
basically impunity too. They know they can do absolutely anything
oh,
they want.
anything, especially in like a super Catholic town like Baltimore to a bunch of teen girls who are like afraid of getting caught for shit. Like, oh, telling him that they smoke weed and then what? Like, you know, he's got that to hold over their head, but it's so much worse. It's so much worse. So he would start out slow. He'd allow the girls to come to him for counseling because he was also the counselor at the school because of course he fucking was.
Oh my God, of course. And it's also just a way for him to get like alone time and know like secrets and intimate shit about people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fucked up. It's so fucking fucked up.
Yeah.
So then he would, after a while, he would do his thing. Teresa Lancaster remembers the first time that he raped her. She'd gone into his office to talk about her parents who found weed in her room and didn't like her long hair boyfriend, right? So
classic.
Yeah, very, very classic. And Mescal basically forced her to take her clothing off and sit in his lap and then assaulted her. And he told her, like,
horrific.
You know, we're you know, basically like making, you know, God is going to forgive you, but you have to get naked with me. I have to touch you in a godly manner is like what he said.
Oh, puke.
I know. Absolute puke. She said after that for months this would happen, and she was so confused that she actually believed that they were in a relationship together and that he loved her.
That's very common.
It really is. It really is. And it wasn't until
because they also have no frame of reference. Sorry, they have no frame of reference for real relationships as well.
Right, because they're fucking teenage girls whose like parents don't even want them to have boyfriends, so they're probably like sneaking around. They have no idea what like a healthy relationship is, you know. It's fucked up. Once she realized other girls were in the same situation, it kind of started to dawn on her what was going on. And at one point, eventually, she did try to fight back, and this piece of shit threatened to expel her for drugs and to send her to some horrible boarding school. So she stayed quiet. Another woman later said that the one time she struggled, Mescal pulled a gun out of his drawer and made her put it in her mouth and told her he would kill her. Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah. Another student said Mescal would take her to St. Clement's Church and abuse her there, along with many other priests whose names she didn't know, but who were connected to that church. And this will come back later, so remember St. Clement's. So apparently some of the nuns teaching there knew what was going on, or at least had an idea. This monster would he would use the intercom to call these girls to his office over the fucking like school loudspeakers. And the nuns would be like, we know this guy's a weirdo, but you have to go. And they would make them go to his office. And this motherfucker was not alone. Another priest at the school abused these girls as well, often with Mescal. The other slimy fuck's name was Father Neil Magnus, and he was also a rapist, a child rapist, and a piece of shit. And so these two would like get together and fucking assault these girls. And that's not all. Mescal had a gynecologist, quote, friend who could check the girls to make sure they weren't pregnant and would also allow Mescal to partake in the exams and even rape them on the table while he watched. Yeah.
Jesus fuck. How many people is this? Like
so far we've got 3 people in on it, right? And it later came out that Mescal would brag about this to people and nobody said shit. Nobody said a word.
It's insane.
So as you can probably guess, the police were very tied in with the church, and it's even worse than them turning a blind eye, because some of the women who later came forward said they had been, quote, given to cops by these motherfuckers and then raped by those cops while the priests watched. So this, like,
I hate this.
It's insane. It's insane.
Help. I hate it.
I know. And this will make you want to blow this shit up. These women had their cases thrown out in 1994 because the statute of limitations ran out for them to press charges. Because there's a statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations strikes again. Yeah,
yep.
Of course.
Yep. So they fought this, saying they had repressed these memories due to trauma and fear, but the white male, probably Catholic judge didn't agree and allowed this fucking scumbag to walk free. Both of these fucking scumbags. And this was despite. So Maskell, he denied any wrongdoing. He fled to fucking Ireland because he's a little fucking bitch. And he still was not charged, despite the gynecologist being like, oh, I probably let him in the room with me. The gynecologist was like, I never partook in any rapes, but I definitely let him in the room with me, or I think I did. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Maskell died of a stroke in 2001, and I really fucking hope
I'm sure he kept assaulting kids though all the way up until the end.
Yeah, because so they put him in like counseling, the church like put him in like some sort of like, counseling, and then put him right back into it in fucking Ireland. They're like, all right, go do your thing. So I hope his death was like scary and it hurt the whole time. So these women still have a support group, by the way, and they're actively still trying to get justice for Cathy and for themselves. And I think the 10 plus other former students who came forward. But it's just infuriating that like nobody, like the judge was just like, nope, there's tons of people to corroborate it, but no. And what they needed to find was some sort of hard evidence to be able to charge him, despite like what these women said, but they didn't have any. So now we kind of know what's going on in this fucking church. And we know how that ended, very sadly, in the 90s with the case being thrown out. But we don't really know how this tied into Sister Cathy. But it turns out she was one of, if not the only, good nun in that school. And when she caught wind of what was going on, she asked the girls, Teresa and Jean specifically, but also others, if the priests were hurting them. When they said yes, she promised she would take care of it for them. But in the end, she was not able to do that. And it's still unclear to this day, like exactly what happened, but we can guess because she was definitely transferred to a new school. Remember, I said that. And it's probably because she called out the abuse. And after she was gone from the school, the abuse continued, and the girl said it even got worse after that. So, yeah. And apparently Maskell, she would have some of the girls come over to her house to vent, and Maskell caught wind of this. And he and I think the other priest, Magnus, came to her house the night before she disappeared. And there was a student there, and the student recalls this, and she was like, yeah, they came to her house, and I just bailed out because I was scared. And the next day, Cathy disappeared. So.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Yeah. So now to give a small idea of how powerful the church is and how closely they are tied to the police in Baltimore, detectives who investigated this both in the 70s and in the 90s said they were told to drop this case before it ruined their careers. So this is going on 25 years later almost, and they're still being warned not to investigate this. And in 1994, one of the investigators said he found a ton of nude photos of the young students in a 12 by 12 foot hole that the groundskeeper came forward and said, Maskell ordered me to dig this giant fucking hole, and he dumped all this shit in it and covered it up. They dug the hole up and they found a ton of shit. It was like papers on the students' like psychological well-being, but also a ton of nude photos. But somehow, basically overnight, all of these photos disappeared. So now this. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense, right? So now this.
Whoops, what evidence? Where'd it go?
Yeah. Where is it? Nobody knows. So this fucking, Maskell, that's what they could have used to fucking prosecute him, but instead he walked free and went to Ireland. So anyway, at the time the murder took place, there were a few suspects, including one of the priests who came to pray with Sister Russell the night that Cathy went missing. He was actually in love with Cathy, and some say they were in a relationship, though she had turned him down many times when he had proposed marriage previously. So, I think that's a dead end. Most people think is a dead end. What I think it really is that he knows more about her murder than he's letting on. And I think that's really sad. Because he was so fully in love with her, and yet he won't turn on the church because he's either loyal or scared. And either way, that's crazy,
It's shit. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some other men who were potentially involved, including a man who killed himself not too long after her death. Two of these men were brothers, Billy and Ronnie, who lived across from Cathy, like I think in the same complex, and whose demeanors and behaviors changed dramatically after her death. One of them became a shut-in and would talk about how he killed someone and how he had a nun in his attic, When his sister-in-law went
Okay.
up to the attic to finally see what he was talking about, she found a mannequin wearing a nun's habit hanging from the rafters. And like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying?
Either way, it's kind of weird.
It's even if he didn't kill her, like, what the fuck? Very, very weird.
It's definitely weird.
Yeah. And the other brother killed himself. So to me, that's
Okay.
pretty fucking damning, right? Uh anyway, that might make you go, oh, the priest must not have done it. But hold on. Also, in 2017, Maskel's body was exhumed, so his DNA could be tested against that found on Cathy's body, and it wasn't a match. So again, you think, oh, maybe he didn't do it. But even in 2017, police were not so quick to rule him out because it's quite possible that he hired those brothers to kill Cathy on his behalf.
Okay.
We have Jean's statement that she saw Cathy's body and that Maskel took her to it. That's been called into question because she said she brushed maggots off of Cathy's face, and the medical examiner said it would have been too cold for there to be maggots. But then what's the medical examiner that did the autopsy on John Bonet? What's his name?
I do not know off the top.
Okay. He's a fucking badass, and he did an autopsy on Cathy, and he found maggots in her throat, and he was like, there were maggots on her. It was a really warm winter. It absolutely could have been, and look, there's the proof. So I believe this student. I believe Jean. And if you do too,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, then that means Maskel knew where Cathy's body was, even if he himself didn't kill her. Also, the other woman that was murdered, 20-year-old Joyce Malecki, she was definitely connected to Maskel as that she went to the St. Clement's Church, and her family donated money to that high school. So there's another fucking connection. And I won't get into it, but there's 2 other girls that Maskel is tied to. So this is like some weird, like, serial killer by proxy, like rape ring, crazy shit, right?
It's a whole crime ring run by priests.
Which is fucking insane. Like, everything about this is horrible. So Cathy's death has still never been solved, but I think we all know what happened, or even if not specifically what happened, who was at fault. The church ended up paying out something like almost $500,000 to the victims who'd come forward and admitting some level of fault and that Maskel was in fact a fucking child rapist. But each victim ended up with like $40,000, which is a fucking insult after everything that happened to them. And the support group still does meet, and they are still sort of trying to get justice for Cathy. But they all also kind of feel like what they were able to accomplish is enough that she would feel honored and like she did not die in vain. But
I think that Keepers, that show too, is like enough of a like justice for her because it's like pretty clear after you watch that.
Yeah. They basically, I mean, I haven't watched it, but again, I feel like they like drag his name through the mud and like good.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit. Like, I tried to not go too deep into like the details, but holy fuck,
it's
dude.
all horrible.
It's fucking crazy. So anyway, that's that. That's the story.
Oof, that's a doozy.
Yeah, it was a long one. Sorry, I tried to talk quickly.
No, it's okay. Mine's gonna be long too, and it's very similar. Not well in some ways to yours. So just get ready to get mad, everyone.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's riveting, but angering.
I'm like the Hulk. I'm just always angry, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. This is the case of Irene Garza. This happened in McAllen, Texas, in 1960. So we're going. Well, actually, a similar era to yours.
It is a similar era. Yeah, it's about 10 years apart. Yeah.
So Irene Garza at this time is 25. She lives with her parents in McAllen. She is like just gorgeous, and all the pictures of her, for some reason, I guess because this is the time when you got your picture taken, but all the pictures of her, she's in like a gorgeous like late 50s, early 60s gown. Like you can just picture the like Dior where it's like T length. She's super gorgeous. And she wasn't just pretty, she was also a really cool and talented girl. She was the first Latina drum majorette in her high school. She's breaking barriers.
Oh, that's awesome. In 1962. That's early.
Yeah. And I'm sure there was a hugely like Latino area, and this is kind of like, discrimination that she's like fighting up against.
Right. Of course.
And she was also the first in her family to go to both college and graduate school.
Oh, wow.
Which is impressive. And she used her education to become a second grade teacher for a kind of school for indigent children. So she was actually like getting paid very little, but she was serving the kids who absolutely had it the worst.
Dude, everything about her is like magic.
Yes. So she was a really smart and awesome person. And just in a couple details here, one detail that reminds us how little has changed in this fucking country. Irene often spent a good deal of her not that good salary buying supplies for her own classroom.
Yeah, that's like my Ollie's first
It's like
or
now.
I keep thinking he's in first grade. His second grade teacher sent out another thing like calling, like, please send us sharpened pencils. Please send like
Mm-hmm.
gifts, like little toys for the kids for like the reward box. And it's like, why the fuck does she have to
Dystopian.
ask us? Yeah, it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So fucked
It's
up.
so fucked up. And even though she doesn't make much, Irene was really generous, and just one little detail, and because this crime, by the way, takes place on Easter, so it's
Oh
also I had to do it.
no. Oh wow.
Yeah. So in one of the last things she did before all this happened, she at Easter, she made all the kids in her family little Easter baskets with candies and stuff, which is super cute.
That is really cute.
So, like I said, it's a very Latino and very, very Catholic area, and
Mhm.
Irene is no exception. She, consistently went to church. She took confession every week. She was at all the, various masses you're supposed to go to.
Right.
And Easter weekend, this is Easter weekend, the church is packed on Easter Sunday. Irene literally walks into church, the Sacred Heart Church, that's
Mhm.
her place, and to take confession, and she literally never left. People saw her
What?
get in line people saw her get in line for confession and just there during the day, and no one saw her leaving.
Whoa. Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah. So she just goes missing. She never goes back to her parents' home. They freak out. And as every true crime show says, this was not like her. She would never have just bailed on her family.
Right.
Super weird. So a huge search ensues, and sheriff's posses, with all their Texas hats and shit, are going out looking for her. And there is actually a huge investigation. Sometimes there's not in these cases, but there
Did
is.
they look into the fucking church, like inside the fucking church?
Well, they were looking all kinds of places. I don't know how.
Okay. Yeah.
How they searched the church, but they found on a random dirt road, they find her purse.
Ooh.
And then nearby, they find a single one of her shoes. So it's not looking good.
No. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. So 5 days after she went missing, they find Irene's body. She was floating in an irrigation canal.
Oh no, that is really similar to like Joyce in my story.
Yeah. She had been sexually assaulted and beaten and was strangled to death.
Yep.
In a later search of the same canal where Irene was found, detectives curiously find a photo slide viewer, which is a very old-timey handheld thing. You might have to Google it if you can't picture it.
Is it the same search they find it, or later?
Later.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, but it's like right next to all the stuff and next to her body.
Mhm.
They put photos of this slide viewer in the papers, and they're asking the public, do you know who owned this? Because it's kind of a weird, like, niche thing. Like, not everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking, wouldn't you know it, 27-year-old Father John Feit of the Sacred Heart Church writes in and says, hey guys, that slide viewer is mine.
What? Just like that. Just like it's mine.
Yeah. He's like, totally chill. So they obviously question him, like, what the fuck? You were at the church. He says that he never heard her confession, but then he later changes his story and said, I did hear her confession, but it was at the rectory. So hot Catholic vocab moment. If you don't know what that is, a rectory is where priests live.
Right. Or because it sounds like rectum, and I love to think about that.
Yeah, rectory. And sometimes it's like adjacent to the church, and they kind of like chill there before the mass, and then they like bop on over, right?
Right.
So he says he was staying there for a while temporarily to help out with, the Easter rush, kind of like Black Friday for Catholics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So detectives find that Father Feit actually went back and forth. The various other priests and the witnesses,
Mm-hmm.
they put it all together and find that he actually went back and forth to his house, which was a pastoral house with other priests who lived there a few miles away, between there and the church 6 times that day.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
And he told people it was for all these dumb random reasons, like, I broke my glasses, I have to go, get new glasses, I have to go change my clothes, like, just like all these stupid reasons.
What the fuck? Also, I was thinking when you were like, oh, he just came forward and was like, that's mine. I was like, is this honesty or bravado? It's bravado.
Well, yeah. Another priest says that he noticed scratches on the back of Father Feit's hands that day.
Oh.
Afterwards, yeah, and Father Feit, when they ask him about this, says, I got locked out of my home that day, and I had to climb up to the 2nd floor, so I got scratches, climbing the wall. Which I love. Someone points this out. How do you get scratches on the back of your hand when you're climbing? Only
Yeah, did the wall like try to
al-
pull him off or something? Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
Also, if wow, this guy's having a chaotic day, like getting locked out. He's fucking breaking his glasses. All this
Gotta
stuff is
change his
happening to
clothes
him,
all the
right?
time, which is also just like
Oh boy,
weird.
woo, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so obviously this John Feit guy is very suspicious, but why isn't he arrested? Why is this investigation not taken further? Well, in a sentence that you pretty much said earlier,
Yeah.
the church told investigators that don't fucking do anything, please. We'll quote unquote take care of it. Don't
Right.
investigate this.
Mm-hmm.
And investigators who actually, to their credit, like wanted to fucking pursue Father Feit
Right.
were actually reportedly super upset because their higher ups, the like DAs and the bosses,
Yep.
say you're not investigating anymore, and they put a squash on it, take the case out of their hands, and tell the people who are actually investigating, hey, what if he didn't do that?
That's so fucking crazy. God
Yeah.
damn.
And there's the daughter of one of the detectives or cops or whatever talks about how like distraught genuinely he was. Like it really pissed him off.
Well, yeah, because cops love to get the bad guys. And like even Catholic cops, like it will shake your faith to be like, I thought, we're godly. Like, why are we allowing this? Like this, that'll fuck you up more if you're religious than if you're not. You know what I mean? If you're like me, you're like, yeah, this surprises me 0%. But if you're like a devout Catholic and a cop and this is what happens, like that's gonna fuck with your head.
For sure. So later it comes out that weeks before Irene's disappearance, a woman named Maria Guerra was attacked in another church nearby. She said a man attacked her from behind and tried to stuff a rag in her mouth, and she was able to fight him off and get away.
Oh, God.
So John Feit is like universally believed to be this attacker, and he was actually punished for doing this, and he was sent a few miles away to Irene's Sacred Heart Church. So this was
kill
just
somebody else. Oh my God. It's the exact same
weeks
thing.
Before
they
shuffled him around to Irene. Yeah.
God,
but he wasn't, despite being shuffled, he actually didn't escape charges relating to his assault on Maria. And in 1962, he was kind of forced to plead guilty to aggravated assault, a downgraded charge.
Of course.
And you'll love this. He gets fined $500.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus fucking Christ. Would be rolling in his grave. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like their kind of token way of being like, oh, see, we did something. Like, ta-da.
No, you did nothing. You did fucking nothing. The church probably paid that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And around this time, the incredibly shitty DA will actually, this is like a fact, this happened, like according to the journalists, they all come forward later. Mm-hmm. A shitty DA takes some key journalists from the area who are trying to cover the Maria Guerra trial and literally sits them down and says, hey, we know Father Feit killed Irene Garza and the church knows, but quote unquote, we have made some arrangements.
What were the arrangements? Was it for him to go to jail for the rest of his life?
It's because he pled guilty to aggravated assault, got charged $500, and in exchange, he will never be charged for Irene's murder.
That's not an arrangement. That's just, what the fuck? What the fuck?
The church said they're going to send him away to a home for the disturbed. They, in fact, sent him to a monastery.
Oh my God.
So,
did he kill anybody else?
Well, not that I know of, but he goes to this monastery. And also what's wild to me is that they basically tell the monks, like, yeah, he just killed a woman, so now he's gonna be a monk. And the other monks are like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, why is everybody okay with this? Like, the Catholic Church is like the most evil organization like in the history of the fucking world, dude. Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
It's fucking crazy.
So in the early 70s, John Feit leaves the priesthood or monkhood, I guess, and he becomes a family man. He gets married and has kids, and he goes on to work for a Catholic nonprofit.
Oh,
all right, you ready for this?
Oh my God, what are you gonna do?
You ready for this date jump? 2016.
Oh God, please tell me he died in a fiery auto wreck. Like,
boop boop boop. The year is 2016.
Oh no.
And a new DA comes into power that actually decides to finally give a shit about this case. And I'll talk about the previous DA in a second, because you're going to get even madder about the shit he did. Yeah. So people were actually trying to get this case investigated for like 20 years at least. Solid. And the previous DA was like, no.
Fuck that person.
But sometimes it just takes a new DA. And fucking John Feit at age 85 is fucking arrested.
Yay! Fuck it, whatever, fine,
And
whatever.
goes to trial. We'll take it. At trial, a friend of Irene's testifies that she was recently confused by Father Feit's behavior because he had fucking pulled her out of confessional.
Oops,
multiple times. Like, she's like, bitch, I'm trying to confess. And he rips her out of the booth, right? And he tells her that she was too good to confess in the confessional and she had to do it in the rectory.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. And another woman named Beatriz Garcia testifies that right when he got to the new church, to Sacred Heart, Father Feit approached her, and she's, a young Latina woman. He approached her in his car and said, I would love to take a picture of you dressed in black in the cemetery.
Nope. What a fucking creep.
Investigators also uncover evidence and presented at trial that proves, like on fucking paper, that the original higher-ups, like the DA and the Catholic sheriff, mind you, worked with the church to like officially not investigate Father Feit. Like, they signed documents about it.
They like made it also, like, that's kind of, it's infuriating, but it's also hilarious. Like, why are you guys signing documents about this?
Paper trail.
Like, why are you creating a paper trail? What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus. Yeah.
So the star witness is a former monk named Dale Tashny. He was actually a monk at that monastery where Father Feit got sent to. Father Feit straight up confessed to him completely. Shit. They're talking about it. I believe he was taking his confession, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But he got the whole story, and Dale Tashny went to fucking authorities with this in 2002.
Oh my God.
But the old DA was like, absolutely not.
What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yes. So here's the confession, and trigger warning, it's fucking horrible. He told Dale that it's probably also a little bit bullshit, but even as it is, it's still horrible. Right. But he told Dale that he took her confession then in the rectory, right? So this is separate from the church. It's a total calculated plan.
Right.
He fondled her, then he bound her and imprisoned her essentially in the basement of the rectory, where he then sexually assaulted her. He literally then kept her bound in the basement and kept going back and forth to church so he could be seen there and be seen taking confessions. Oh my God. And with this woman imprisoned in the basement that he's like raping.
Oh my God.
Yeah, on Easter. According to this confession, he later moved her that day to the pastoral house he lived in, and he took her to the bathroom where he essentially suffocated her with a bag over her head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I think he thought, because according to him, this is a part I think is definitely bullshit. He thought she was still alive, but as he left, he could hear her saying, I can't breathe. And when he came back, she was dead. Which, again, still fucking horrifying, but I think he just probably suffocated her. But either way, he killed her.
Well, he did, because she said, I can't breathe, and he left. So, like, he did suffocate her.
Yeah,
like, whether or not he watched her die, he still is the sole only reason she is dead, and he did it. Like,
exactly. He then obviously dumped her body and her stuff in that canal. Yeah, it's fucking insanity. So Tashny was the big break in this case, and he actually cried on the stand about how painful it was for him to keep the story in until 2002. Like, he felt really bad. And when he finally came forward, how fucking obviously pissed he was that this shitty ass DA refused to charge John Feit. And he also, this DA insists, by the way, I'm sure he's paid off by the church, he insists that Dale's making it up. This is just completely false. And between 2002 and 2016, when it goes to trial, another priest comes forward saying that Father Feit confessed to him. Oh my God. Stories match up.
Yeah. And nothing.
At one point, this shit ass DA actually says both of you are lying.
Right. So it's two priests versus some piece of shit DA, and we're gonna believe the DA? Like, no. That's not how that goes. Fucking
two people
insane.
Separately come forward with the same story too. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. But in 2017, at age 84, he's found guilty and given a life sentence, which is bananas. I don't know if I got his age right. Anyway, sadly, or well, I guess not sadly, but in February 2020, John Feit died of a cardiac arrest in prison at the age of 87. So he didn't get that long in prison, but you know what? Like, it's the gesture of the thing. It's kind of like when Nazi prison guards get prosecuted at like age 90. It's like, well, hey, fuck you. Like,
yeah, it's like you still got
know.
outed for the world to see. And also, like, I
Yes.
think it's really important that this happens because it shows like the Catholic Church for what they are. And it also hopefully will scare them into not doing this bullshit quite as often, although I'm sure they do it. I'm sure there's like,
Oh, they do.
for every story we have, there's like 1,000 that we don't,
Oh,
you know?
for sure. For sure. It's like with cops, you know, priests and cops can just like, they feel like they can do whatever they want. And sometimes they're right.
Yeah, they are quite often,
most of the time.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and John Feit was trying to appeal his sentence, which I find is really fucking stupid. Like, oh my God, shut up.
Oh, I'm so glad that he did it. I'm so glad that he just died in a horrible way while in prison.
Just died.
Not having his sentence appealed. Yay.
Yeah, it's really stupid, but I'm glad that at least, he was exposed and he got to like have his, you know, reputation and like life ruined at the end, at least. So.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, but that's a crazy Easter case for you.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm fucking sick of this shit. Like, fuck these people. I'm already angry. Oh my God.
Really angry.
I tried to hurry through mine because like the shit that I read, I will never unread. Like, I'll never unread it.
Yeah.
And
it's
like, it's insane. Just the fact that these people I don't know. I don't even know where to start. It's just so far outside of like the realm of like reality for me that somebody thinks it's okay to behave in this way. It just blows my fucking mind. Oh my God. All right. Well, in any case, there it is. Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. My brain is like melted by all of that horrid shit.
You can tell Cindy's frustrated and angry because she's just making sounds.
Oh my God. It's horrible. Gotta go rinse my fucking brain out now. God damn. All right. Well, that's it. Fuck this shit. Listen, if you guys are religious, yeah, right, you're listening to us. But if you are religious and you're listening to us, please know that like having faith, like I have no problem with that. It's organized religion using their power for evil that I have a problem with. And if you don't have a problem with that, you're probably a terrible person. So
look, a lot of my family is Catholic and I love them. And but exactly, you just put it correctly. Individual believers and having faith and having spirituality can be beautiful and great and good for people. However, what we hate is the oppressive power structures at the very top.
Yes,
who are doing evil shit.
Yes, and allowing evil shit to be done in the name of, you know, religion.
Yes,
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's it for tonight. I gotta go now and I don't know, watch something nice on TV. Maybe watch The Mighty Boosh. And
get some cat videos is what I like to do when I have had too much true crime. I watch a cat video.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. Maybe I'll do both, like a little TV screen and phone screen, you know, the double whammy. We know we all do. It's disgusting.
Yeah, get some TikToks going. Yeah,
that'd be fun. Anyway, all right, thanks guys for listening. We love and appreciate your support. Please, apologies that we're a day late, but again, it was a holiday. We were all cooking and doing things.
Stuff
we'll get
going on.
We'll get back to the Mondays. We're still doing Thursdays, but we'll get back to the Mondays soon. And thanks for listening. And until the second half of this fucking shit show,
stay
off our
list.